right, good morning, lovely people. I missed you. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been just all over the place. I was in Europe and it was really, really dead hot. Now I'm back in summer resort somewhere in Egypt. The weather is fantastic, but I hope you as well are having a good time. Can you give me just a thumbs up that the voice is okay? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Ahmed, for that. It's just that, you know, when you're out of my usual setup, I mean, the guy in the garden was going to do the garden, and I told him, like, please, can you only run the machine in an hour because I have a work call. So, yeah, I'm just babbling until people, you know, come in and join. Today's is a very exciting topic. It's very intriguing. It's very new to our part of the world. It's quite expensive, but it's really, really very insightful. I'll tell you my story with it. I'll share with you some insights and practical tips, what to do about it. So I hope you find it useful. I find a lot of regulars to my live LinkedIn here today. So good morning to you. Also newcomers, different parts of the world. So lovely to have you on this Saturday morning. Now, I had promoted this session with starting by sharks. Did you know that people were not afraid of sharks before the Jaws movie? Yes, the brain is a sponge, and we feed it in with a lot of learnings. It builds up and shapes our behavior. And I think everybody in the marketing community would love to know how their consumers and shoppers and customers behave, whether you're doing a B2C or a B2B. Whether you're a product or you're a service, whether you're in Egypt or the Netherlands or Mexico, it doesn't really matter. Humans are humans. And I think that was the trigger point where I started my intrigue with neuromarketing. I didn't know at the time it was neuromarketing, and that was more than 10, 15 years ago. I was at the time at Mondelez, and part of my role is doing a lot of strategy, consumer shopper insights, work, customer, blah, blah, blah in the EMEA region. And given that I was lucky to work for the biggest snacking company in the world, I had access to data. And there was a case study where the guys in the US were changing the packaging design for Trident. And Trident is a huge thing in the US, I mean around the world, but particularly its heartland is in the US. We're talking about billions of dollars. And once you start changing the design, not drastically, of course, and this is something I have learned, I mean, there is an arc. The arc of Trident is one of the brand cues, which we needed, of course, to protect. But what the guys wanted to change is the fruity flavors. So one example that they shared with us is the mixed fruits. So the question was as simple as, I mean, it sounds simple, but it really changes the way shoppers will pick it up or notice it in the first place. So the fruits, do they come on the right side or the left side? If it's mixed fruits, do we put one fruit or two fruits or all that is included in the product set? Do we put it up, down? Is it small, big, in relativity to the brand name? You know, all of you guys working in design, art directors would know exactly these little nitty-gritties that you ask yourself when you are designing. Particularly, it's very high risk when you're working on a global brand. So net, I know the results before and after, and I dug a bit into it, and they told me that they had used neuromarketing, and I was like, excuse me, what is that? So the story goes like this. Neuroscience started in the 60s, so in the last century, I guess. It's very, very long time ago now that I'm thinking about it. For medical reasons. What is neuroscience? It's basically we measure the wavelengths of the brain. It has done some breakthrough help for people who are sick. Now, moving forward to only 15 to 20 years back, neuromarketing started as an application of what we can do with knowledge of the brain. It focuses on understanding how the brain reacts to stimulus. So stimulus could be something in the shop, advertising, billboard, packaging, online shop. What else? There's tons and tons of applications. I was very, very lucky and still am that I got involved in this, whether from the time I was in Mondelez or today for the last 10 years, I would say 10 years, is that I'm joining the global community. I attend conferences, and if I can't, I would buy the material. The last one held, which was actually the first after COVID, was in Berlin last September. I couldn't go, but I did buy the material, and I have been lazy, I have to admit. It was 12 case studies. I only read 4. So naughty me. I need to pick up some more on that. Now, why is this important for you? Why are you listening to me? You could be just intrigued about this is something new that we don't know anything about. It's pretty expensive, by the way, unless you're working for a multinational, and not every part of the regions will invest in this. You can hire these agencies to run that for you if you're changing the logo, blah, blah, blah. Or I think in India, there are some fantastic new agencies that have accumulated this data and running databases using algorithms and using AI to predict if, this new logo design will get the right attention or, that kind of thing. I have to say, though, I'm lucky or I'm smart or I have experience. I don't know what it is. But I think over the years and reading so much and, looking at stimulus, I have high predictability as well. When I see marketing material, I would know to a great extent if this would be working or not. So let me step back and tell you again why this is important to you, and it backlashes with traditional research. Because we know that people say something and do something else. And that is the core of behavioral science. We'd like to understand where to go, how that mind works. And with neuromarketing, there's a lot of myths that were busted, like decision-making process is actually emotional, not rational. What happens is you go for a direct question to the consumer. Why did you choose this TV? They would actually rationalize because they want to look good and, technical. And they said how many inches and, the quality of the screen, and of course, if it's on promotion or not. I'm not saying that these parameters are not important, but they come secondary. Yeah, how many times you have went into store of white goods and just because the feel of the store or that the salesperson annoyed you, you would actually kind of been turned off. You would never admit that to yourself or to anyone. But we know now from neuromarketing, from measuring the brain and the vibes and the electricity there and the lights that would go on screen, once you are being tested for decision making, we know that it is an emotional buy. Now, the secondary level would be, yes, you rationalize, and sometimes you don't have an option. So many of us would be really pissed off with the service of a bank or a telecom mobile provider, but you cannot change for so many reasons, yeah? But then again, it will continue to be bugging you, and this is not your favorite brand. So if you're doing brand health tracking, for example, it would be always a conflict between the service and how you feel about it, and if you would recommend it to anybody. That's a very important question, by the way, if you recommend a service to somebody else or a product versus I'm there because I have to be there, but I have no connection with that brand. I totally hate it, but I'm forced into it. I would recommend that you read a few books on that, and I will share a few names in this session. But I gotta say that with regards to traditional research, I would always advocate for observational research and any other thing that I can, get my hands onto. For example, like today's session or my workshop on neuromarketing specifically, where I share, learnings that you can, copy and paste and run with it right away. A lot of it is in Shopper, because the human being interacts with the shelf in the same way. It doesn't have to be by country. When you come into the level of the category management, yes, this is when you do local research on that. Pricing. Think of pricing. Do you know that there is a whole section around psychological pricing? Yes, absolutely. In a lot of cases, I see brands that undervalue themselves or overvalue themselves because they don't understand their equity and how consumers or customers look into the value up or down. Yeah. Can I have that premium? Don't you think of, you see offers or whatever and you think like, but that's not really an offer worth that I buy into it because it's not value. That brand is not really worth it, or you even make fun of it, is like, what are they thinking about? And I see it actually in some of my clients. They hire me, when it's too late. Unfortunately, they already set the price, and somebody told them, no, you have to be at that benchmark. But if there is newness, you are entering a new category, you're offering something new, or you are building a space, a mind space, and you will invest in building that brand, or your packaging looks premium. Actually, there is a recent client. Actually, they're not a client. The CEO asked to see me after I did a review of their chips, which is craft cooked. The packaging was amazing, and then they priced it at $5. While the market, this was like 9 months back, but just before the evaluation, I told them, like, you're pricing very low, you're not giving yourself enough credit for the amazing quality of product as well as brand and image, and you will be supporting the brand with advertising and so forth, and you're benchmarking yourself to the lowest kind of category in the chips, which is completely different. Now, months later, everybody was pricing up, there is new price point, and they lost the opportunity. So psychological pricing, and how do we know that? We know that from understanding the brain. The great David Ogilvy triggered this in the 70s with a quote, which I always like to say. The trouble with market research is that people don't think how they feel, they don't say what they think, and they don't do what they say. And I've seen this millions and millions of times, whether on a personal level or at work. Focus groups, for example, people make a lot of claims in focus groups. And for a lot of reasons, I'm not saying that they intentionally lie, yeah? So this has been the core work from the 60s and the 70s and further on behavioral science. But now we have another tool that helps us out. So as I mentioned, neuromarketing started in the 60s, and then neuroscience, but neuromarketing started like 15 years back with a lot of applications, just measuring the whole body. So we have facial coding. So the face, for example, has 43 muscles, and reflecting emotions in, less than a minute, definitely a few seconds. When you give them stimulus as advertising, And I think Kantar were the first to do this facial coding. I've used it manually in Mondelez because I was managing the Center of Excellence in Zurich at the time. This was like 10 years back. And even though they did it manually without, the eye tracking or neuromarketing tools, but yes, that reaction all through that 30 seconds or 45 seconds ad made a difference for us to understand the initial reactions. Yeah, this is so different in the outcome versus you asking a person, did you like the ad or not? Okay, but now we have precise analysis and data on this. There's eye tracking, which is fantastic in monitoring the reaction to shelf in packaging. This is why we know, for example, as an insight, when you relaunch a brand, you should look carefully if you're changing the size shape and color, because usually color and shape, if it's a bottle, for example, or a box or whatever, so you were a box and suddenly you're a bottle on shelf. That is a huge mistake. Okay, you're losing at least 60-70% of your equity. It takes about 7 to 9 seconds for people to pick and point the SKU that they want. I mean, please stop thinking that customers and shoppers are thinking about your brand day and night. No, they don't. I hate to hurt your ego, but no, they don't really care. You know, it's usually the brand is an afterthought if you are bugging them and you're not delivering the right solution that you have promised. It's the claim. So again, it goes back to the basics of building the brand ladder that starts with an insight. This is the consumer attention, and then the benefit that you as a brand will deliver, and then the reason to believe the RTB. Why should I believe you as a customer? And over time, with the experience, you would know as a brand, will you deliver or not? The other thing you might have seen in some of the neuromarketing material is like a hat with a lot of wires on it. That's what we call EEG, which if you're doing that experiment in store with a shopper to understand maybe the planogram, or in packaging, this is something that Trident had used earlier. Example that I gave you is to understand where the eyes would be fixated. Is it on the arc of the trident? Will the brand be recognized if we do that change? Is it about the fruit and how many fruits? Or if you do a lot of fruits in the design, does that give you clutter? If you're one of the people who like to be on top of trends and read that, and I definitely encourage you to do that. It's an eye-opener, and if you're working in the growth area and innovation, this is a must do. Look at packaging trends. Where do these come from? Yeah, there's a lot of learnings out there. When we say like minimalist, we would say simplicity, cut the clutter. I know our directors and agencies always like to make it very complex because this is an art for them, and no offense. But again, all of the learnings that we're coming in, that it's about simple. Yeah, it's simple and clarity in the messages. It's simple and clarity in the design. Again, if you know that your message that you've worked so hard on a billboard, in store or whatever, it will take up to 5 to 8 seconds to people to actually notice to start with, and then read it, and then digest, and then react. Yeah, that's a lot to ask of a customer. Yeah. And in terms of advertising, I mean, think about it. There's so much risk here because you are doing production, you're doing media budgets, but then again, there's a lot of learnings around the models, the time when you introduce them, the storytelling format, the brand, even in digital advertising. And I don't know if you had joined me in season 1, which was 6 months back. There was an edition that I've put in there in one of these lives around digital advertising, and can we build equity, brand equity, with only digital? And yes, there are opportunities, but there are ways to it and tips and tricks to do that. Because again, when do you put the brand? How does the story build up? Okay, part of it is neuromarketing, part of it is normal traditional research. Particularly Kantar was very good at these things. So I'm not saying that traditional research is dead per se, but I think we need to have more tools, more insights to understand the psyche of the brain and the consumers, because we know more now. So if you have information, why aren't you using it? Whether you're listening to me, attending workshops, reading a book, going to a conference, downloading material, it is there. I mean, and there's a lot of good stuff out there. And I think one of the things personally that intrigued me is understanding backwards what happened to some of the campaigns that we read about it, and at the time, using behavioral traditional tools, we did not really know what was going on. One of them, for example, that everybody probably read in the books at some point in their life, is the new Coke. Yeah, classic story. Why did it fail? At the time, long back. This campaign goes back to 1985. Yeah, that's that long. But it's only in 2005 when they ran neuromarketing work on it. And believe it or not, well, I guess you will believe it now, it's concrete information. Through neuromarketing, they pinned down why did it fail. It failed because of the word new. So all in the product test, it was unbranded, so it's not just about Coke and Pepsi. Nobody told the consumers when they were tasting the product that this product would be called New Coke. What has happened when it got launched is that psychologically, Americans who grew up on Coke, and it has so many associations to their lives from the 50s and the 60s. It's all about their emotional connections with part of their lives. So consumers felt that word triggered negatively in their brain. The marketeers thought that it's like, wow, yes, we're introducing something new, so we have to call it new. But that was interpreted negatively in the minds of consumers as you're ripping me of my memories of my beautiful Coke. So at this stage, the equation does not matter. The product does not matter. There is something wrong here. We, as marketeers or business people, we looked at 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah, we looked at great product test, a great brand called Coke, but the result was a new Coke that failed just because of that word new. They did not understand the psychological associations with Coke. Yeah. There's a whole lot of details in that study. It's just fascinating. But it comes down to, and maybe you've seen some of my posts on LinkedIn, the power of words and association. Yeah? If you choose one word that you think, okay, it will work out with that product, but it is not what the consumer, interprets. It does not psychologically, internally, subconsciously, runs down well with the customer, then you have a big issue. You fail and you don't know why you failed. Part of it, you didn't do your homework. There's a lot of, words. I mean, I just saw an ad for a makeup brand on lips, and they say, get your lips glowing. Well, sorry guys, but lips do not glow, okay? They are soft, maybe, top of mind, that would not go well. What glows is the face. So if you're working in the makeup, color cosmetic industry, and you don't know which part of the associations, the product associations, from both product perspective and customer perspective, how you describe that to hook up with something that attracts the customer to look into your ad to start with. I'm not even saying that's going to trigger them to buy, but if I see somebody telling me that I can do a gloss, but my lips are not glowing, it's my face that is glowing. So the power of words, and each one would make a difference. So a big brand like Coke did that, but it was like years back. The other campaign that intrigued me when I saw the analysis after putting up with neuromarketing study on it is cigarettes. You've all seen, whether you're a smoker or not, I'm anti-smoking, by the way, so I would always advocate for you to rethink your smoking habits, whether for yourself or secondhand smoke. I don't smoke. I'm against it, but with the pollution and secondhand smoke, I'm really affected in my health. So that's, a disclaimer on the side. You've all seen the packs with these nasty images, blah, blah, blah. Did it stop people from smoking? No. But why? Yeah, they ran a lot of work on this campaign. It's still running. It's still there. I'm not really sure why. It's not very helpful, and you would know that some people would actually have a cover, or a pack or whatever, just to hide that image, because there is something in the brain, it's intact there, It's called the insula. So it's a little teeny weeny bit of organ inside the brain. It is something that is put there to protect us as human beings from very disgusting images. It's a warning to the brain that something is bad that's going to hurt you psychologically. Probably surgeons, for example, or maybe police people who are used to blood would not mind seeing blood. But we as normal people, if you remember any time there was like an accident, God forbid, or you know, a car accident, or you've seen like somebody's dragged out of a car, they're hurt and they're all over the place, your instant, like your first 2 seconds, you'll find yourself just, you know, taken back. That taken back reaction is actually coming from that insula. It naturally blocks you to view this, and probably you'll see that your eyes have closed a little bit. I'm talking about seconds here, yeah? If you remember any of these incidents, you will remember how you felt at that time, and it's a natural reaction, yeah? So if we take that rationale and pose it on any of the marketing campaigns, if you think of what is called Burger King, the Rotten Burger campaign, it got an award from the creative community. You know, that's a separate discussion, which I do a case study on it. That was last year. But in terms of sales, in 1 year, this brand lost in the US about 5%. Wendy's took over as the second place after McDonald's, just because they didn't understand this bit. It's from the creative perspective that it's cut through. Everybody was talking about it. But look at the sales. People were just disgusted out of the brand because you're giving me visuals of a rotten burger. Yeah. The intention originally was around Burger King trying to get the message out that we don't use artificial, you know, emulsifiers, spices, blah, 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 and therefore it's all natural. And if it's a natural thing and it's organic, therefore it gets spoils very easily and fast. But you're giving me a visual that turned me off. You know, I don't know if the guys did. I mean, it's very weird. For me, it's like very simple. I didn't need to look into sophisticated neuromarketing stuff to get to tell you that. But honestly, I mean, it's really an interesting case study because it started with an assumption that was really good. I don't mind, you know, owning natural, but the execution was so bad, and then the community split up. All of these guys in what's the name of that thing that it's in June in France, Cannes, yeah. So it was not this year, the previous year. I know they took an award for creativity. So actually, what are you celebrating here? That the company lost business? At the end of the day, we are building a brand, yeah, and we want to be profitable, okay? So you're doing sales, you're doing equity, and you lost both for that, yeah. So again, there's so much learning and depth in understanding what you can do and what to do, and I see budgets, and sadly from big brands, not only small ones or local ones. I mean, at least the local ones, they have their excuse. Either they don't have the know-how or they don't know the budget. But sometimes I think it's all an ego trip, yeah? Or we just have a lot of money, so let's spend it. So why don't you just spend it in the right way? I'm not saying that neuromarketing is cheap. It is not, yeah? And it's done extensively in the US, all the agencies and the Netherlands. There's a couple in Turkey, but apart from that, it is not mainstream around the world, not really. And I told you there's these Indian agencies that have AI-driven databases to predict on that. If you are interested, I would definitely advocate for a few things like, you know, joining the global community, or at least checking out the newsletter. The next session they have is on Shopper. The conference will be held, I believe, in October in Dublin. I personally am looking forward to it. I'm not sure if I'll physically go. If not, I will buy the material as I usually do. I've been having the material for like the last 6-7 years. There is a fantastic book for Professor Daniel Kahneman. Thinking Fast and Slow. He actually got what is called that award? I don't know what's wrong with me. I keep missing out on a lot of basic data here. So guys, help me out here. What's that? The Swedish very famous award. God, I'm losing it now. Okay, not enough coffee for the morning. So anyway, it's a fantastic book that really cracked all these myths around, how our brain absorbs information. I'm sure you heard the word System 1 and System 2. This is the core of it. And again, if you're interested, you can join one of my workshops. The workshop is called Winning Communication. I ran it the last 2 years, public sessions. I'm now not offering it on public. It would be on demand for corporates if you're interested. There are some extract out of it on my YouTube channel if you wanted that. And apart from this, you can always follow me, ask me a question, but it's just an amazing science to go through. People working, for example, in the health insurance industry, they can, it can help them a lot to understand, because in reality, you're selling something that is telling the customer, listen, you're going to die. Nobody wants to hear that, and reframing it, there is a solution for that. It is a science, yeah. So messaging is extremely important, and that's why probably my winning workshop, my winning communication workshop is the one thing I'm very passionate about. And it ran a lot because people do know that the number one reason there are problems in the world, there are, I wouldn't say problems, let me take that back. It's more of misunderstandings that doesn't resolve into something good. It is actually communication. And the brain, as much as it's a fantastic, underused actually, organ of ours, it can take you places, even on a personal level. I mean, somebody can say a word and your brain goes like, did she mean that? Did he mean that? And lots of scenarios. On a personal level, I would tell you, I'm the kind of person who would just go and say, listen, I heard you say that statement. Did you mean that or did you mean that? Because I don't want to spend my energy time on my brain just thinking, did he mean that? I seek clarity. And I think one of the beautiful lessons when I was working in Cadbury, I learned firsthand, and it was the first rule in any meeting, something called advocacy and inquiry. So these are the rules of any meeting. If you want to advocate, you can advocate for your idea, okay, and you seek clarity. So advocacy and inquiry, you inquire from the other people if there's a piece of information that you actually don't understand. So anyway, I can talk on for hours, and maybe even if you're interested, I can do other sessions on this one. It's fascinating, the kind of examples and learnings that you can pick and go there. So I do encourage you to read more books on this, get yourself educated on that, because it will be complementary to whatever you need, and the results will be really amazing. I've seen a lot of that work before and after using neuromarketing. You don't want to lose sales, do your homework and that, and it's there for you. So I'll stop here and open the floor for discussions, bills, questions, or whatever if you have. You just need to raise your hand. Okay, just what I forgot is actually the Nobel Prize. Can you imagine? Yeah, so Professor Daniel Kahneman in his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, one of the amazing books that you need to read. Of course, I would also advocate for Biology, which is by Martin Lindstrom, another great book that got me into this whole shopper work. And if there are no questions, I can wrap it up here and wish you a fantastic weekend. Oh, Basil, yeah, okay. Sure. Go ahead. Hello, Basil. Go ahead. Unmute yourself, probably. Basil, are you there? Okay, we got disconnected. Anyway, Basil, if there is a specific question or bill that you want, please inbox me. You know where I am. Yeah. Next week, I'm actually not sure what I'm going to talk about. I was thinking of putting up kind of an open forum. If you, as a brand owner, have issues with your brand, ask me. It's as simple as that. But I will start by putting in what you guys, not you specifically, but as brand owners or working in the marketing industry, what you usually do, and you kill your own brands. Okay, so I might do that. I mean, keep following me because I'm not really clear yet what I'm going to do, but I was thinking of doing that. And if there are any other topics that you'd be interested in, I plan, inshallah, to continue these Saturday morning quick sessions, and hope you are enjoying them. They will be on my YouTube channel in like the next few days or so. So keep following and subscribing and liking and sharing. Have a wonderful time. Bye.